Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Hi, Penn State.
Good morning. Welcome to a Monday edition of Potto Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Monday. We'll recap the weekend in college and pro football. Talk about anything else you want to talk about. Tell your friends and family we're on the air live to join the program. Got a lot of texts I got to get to. But we got JC here on the Titan MR hotline, and then we'll have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com join us about 8:30. Get his thoughts on the game Saturday night in the Swamp. It was a dogfight. We got outplayed. Give South Florida credit. We're still a very good football team. We're the team. We are the team. JC, good morning. You're on the Titan MR hotline. We are the team that I told you we were going to be back in the summertime. That's who we are.
I sure did not see a struggle with these guys. QB, it's one of those things.
By the way, you know where we're coming to you live from where?
I see you're in the Smokies right now.
I'm in the Smoky Mountains.
You're in the Smokies. Look at it.
I'm already here. I'm not even taking the team plane. I'm going to camp out in a cabin all week and then drive on over to Knoxville.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Knoxville this weekend, QB. I think it's good that Florida had 3 home games to start the season. I really do. I think this could be like those 90s Tennessee games that you are familiar with, because the way it feels like to me is that the team has kind of lost a little bit of confidence in 2 wins, and I don't know why, but boy, the quarterback, Anthony, just really struggling throwing the football, man. And Shorter made a nice catch there late in the game. That was important, but gee whiz, these guys. And again, QB, am I going too far out by saying that Florida could easily be 0-3 right now?
No, they could easily. I've told fans that,
but we're not.
Look, you play each game different. Every game is different. Utah, we played extremely well. We had every break pretty much go our way, or we could be sitting at 0-3, but we're not. We're at 2-1. It is what it is. Nobody's going to remember how you won games, how you lost games at the end of the season. Andy says it's odd that AR has more solo tackles than touchdowns. He's actually tied for 11th on the team in solo tackles. Yeah, it ain't good.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, I just don't have confidence when I see him throwing the football right now.
Well, he doesn't either.
He does either. Yeah.
Well, here's what happened. If you go back and you watch what Utah – now that I think about it, I don't know how much Utah prepared to face him, because they let him get outside the pocket all night long on easy, like throws in the flat, things like that. Nobody else is going to allow that. No. They're going to soft rush. They're going to make him hand it off on all zone reads, and they're going to make him beat him throwing the football. I don't know it's a great plan on their part.
Well, QB, we said that. We said defensive coordinators are going to get taped. They're going to game plan, and eventually defenses are going to be ready for this. It's somewhat one-dimensional, right? I mean, when you think about it, there's only one facet of the game that works. And listen, why did Johnson only get – how many carries did he get the other night?
Look. I'm not gonna be one of those guys that says this tailback should get. Look, we got 3 good running backs. I've said since summer
he's
that
the
Montrell Johnson's the best tailback. Okay, I think he got 6 carries. We didn't have the ball very much there, partner.
Yeah,
they had the ball almost the entire game.
Yeah.
So the only way in my mind that we can beat Tennessee is we go 4 corners on offense. We put all the tailbacks in there. We just run the ball, and then we snap it with 1 second on the play clock. Because I'm telling you right now, Tennessee is so potent on offense. This stat I'm getting ready to tell you is staggering. Mm-hmm. I have never in all my years heard of this.
Yeah.
Since becoming the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Vols, Hendon Hooker has thrown 42 touchdowns. Yeah. How many interceptions do you think he's thrown?
6.
2.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good ratio, 42 to 2.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
His whole life changed and got better when they hired Josh Heupel. And I think that is a lesson for folks who are looking at coaches, that you have to decide what kind of team you want to be. Danny White knew what he had at Central Florida, and Danny White said, dude, you're coming with me. And he gave him $1 million raise before the game Saturday. He extended the contract, and all of the assistant coaches got a little bit more money. But relatively speaking, do you know Josh Heupel is one of the lower paid coaches in the league? He's he's like 10th or 11th. He gets something like $5 million. Comparatively speaking, Billy's getting $7 million, and a bunch of other guys are as well. So Josh Heupel is not one of your higher paid coaches, but he is turning heads in Tennessee, and their football team and their fan base is waking up. That is a fact.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Facebook Lives here. Dan said, I really enjoyed listening to Shane on the broadcast. QB's reactions are great. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not supposed to react, but sometimes I see stuff happening and I just can't help it.
Every single color guy I listen to on the radio reacts. Every single one of them. Who said you weren't supposed to
But what I'm saying is sometimes I react before it happens.
Okay. Well, it's because
that's not good.
Well, yeah, because you kind of see what's coming and you kind of see it happen as it happens.
Cliff says, do you think there's a chance we see Jack Miller Saturday? Jack Miller's hurt. He's in a cast still. But I will promise you this.
He will play.
Well, Jack Miller would have been playing the last 2 games if he was healthy.
You wouldn't have benched Anthony. Well, okay, yes, he would have played in the last 2 games. He may not have started, but yes, you're right.
No, I'm not saying start. I'm just saying he would have come off. I guarantee you that.
Okay.
Guy says, Shane, when you said back in the summer that we don't have an SEC roster, I thought you were exaggerating. I sure do believe you now. Yeah, no, Miller. Everybody's asked about Miller. We got a while here. So let's see here. Okay. Alan says, Shane, you just warned us, but my goodness, we have a lot of work to do. I don't even know what to say about the last game. Look, South Florida played well. South Florida's got like 24 transfers from last year's team.
I don't care, QB.
I know. I'm not making excuses. My point is, I told people, I will tell you this. My eyes told me in that game that South Florida's offensive line is 100 times better than the Kentucky Wildcats offensive line. I will tell you that. Take that to the bank.
You know, they that quarterback had a good game. Just made
he completed less passes than Anthony.
I know, but I thought
So I can't remember the stats from both of them. The quarterbacks threw 4 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. 2 teams going into that. We were 2 of 7 teams in America who had not thrown a touchdown pass. Neither one of those teams is still throwing touchdown passes.
116 yards, and Anthony had 112. Good Lord. I mean, well, yeah. That's going to be a problem on Saturday, dude. It's just with that crowd up there, they're hungry. They're foaming at the mouth.
All right, I got to get some of these texts, JC. Hang on. On the Titan Mar text line, I don't know who this is from. QB Gator fans are upset we didn't put USA away early. The bottom line is we're 2-1. We very easily could be 0-3. The realistic goal is not the SEC championship. A bowl game should be considered a good season. Some of the pieces are there, but it will be 2024. We see it. I'm not one of those guys that says I told you so, but I try to tell people this roster is not SEC caliber roster.
Right.
And if we win 7 games, I think Billy Nate, he won't be the coach of the year, but he should be in line for it. This is from Daryl. Says, good morning, guys. Shane, it seems throughout the year sometimes we play down to the level of our competition. Yes and no, Daryl, but we were – I mean, it is what it is. I'm not sure who this is from. The gentleman says, is AR a bust? Will Jack Miller eventually take over? Tennessee will crush the Gators. Great listening to you Saturday night. I mean, look, on paper – and what your eyes have told you, it looks like it's going to be a massacre. But we thought we were going to blow out USL. Hendon Hookers could throw some interceptions. They could fumble kickoffs. They could fumble punts. You never know what might happen.
Yeah, but that's a bad analogy. You got a quarterback who's thrown 2 interceptions since he's been playing and 40-some-odd touchdowns, and another guy who had 112 yards. It's not the same, and it isn't the same. Now, Florida will go up there and play hard. I will give you that. But what are you going to feel like when it's 24-6 or 24-7 or 21-10, and you got to come back now? And you've got to come back and can't run the ball all damn day long. And what then?
Well, we have a mutual friend who played the NFL for a long time.
I know.
And he suggested we need to go to the Wildcat, meaning just play. Don't throw a pass. Like remember when Lynn Bowden a few years ago at Kentucky? Yeah, the wide receiver went
right.
And I mean, it's hard to say, but. Anyway, all right, JC, let's move on because we're going to talk a lot about the Gators when Scott comes on.
Okay, sure.
But in college football, I mean, I can't remember. I mean, if you don't like college football, people, I know people watching this show do, but tell your neighbors and stuff that they're missing out because it's crazy right now. Absolutely crazy.
Well, I thought it was crazy that you thought Georgia Tech could beat Mississippi.
Well, here's the thing.
I mean, I tell you, if you changed rosters and you gave Lane Kiffin Georgia Tech's roster and Jeff Collins Ole Miss's roster, Lane would still beat them.
No, because here's Jeff Collins' fault. And I've said it since the kid started quarterbacking for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jeff Sims
loves that guy.
Loses games. Yeah. Every game.
But
why they won't make a change, I don't know. But I may be wrong. I may be wrong about Ole Miss, but I think they have quarterback problems.
Well, it still doesn't stop them from scoring 42, regardless of what Jeff Sims is doing. And here's Penn State. And I don't know what you saw in Auburn, but that's the 7th place team in the West, dude. They are the worst team in the West.
Here's what I'm going to say. Auburn still may do better, but Auburn's problem is one issue and one issue only.
I know.
And the most important position in sports.
And
they've got bad quarterback play.
They can't win. But that wasn't a secret before the year, QB. You knew that. And I mean, it's this guy Rattler comes over from Oklahoma. He doesn't have guys around him that can help him out much. And really, it's A&M. You change quarterbacks. They weren't spectacular, but at least they were a threat on offense because they're about the most vanilla and boring offense.
Dude, Max Johnson threw for like 120 yards.
I know, but I mean, don't you think they were a little bit better with him in there?
Here's what A&M is. They're very good on defense.
Yeah, they're good on defense, but they are awful on. They don't motion, they don't bunch, they don't slant, they don't do anything. Everything is just right. I mean, I don't know what Texas A&M's identity is on offense. It's pretty bad. And then Mississippi State just handed over a football game. I mean, for 3 quarters, you're winning the game, and then you drop a punt, and it's over. I mean, it's just over at that point. And I don't know why they kept going for it on 4th down. They couldn't make it. And LSU defensively played a very good game too, QB. So, it does look like it's Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky in the East.
Georgia is clearly better than they were last year.
They look good. Well, I mean, come on, QB. They played nobody.
JC, it doesn't matter who they played. Anybody. The way Stetson Bennett is playing right now, he should be the front runner for the Heisman Trophy, quite honestly. I mean, he is playing lights out.
Cool, man.
We got a couple of Facebook Lives I want to get to here after I say, are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Darling Weeby, a realtor will call a banker in my parish providing fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Scott asked me this question. What do you think is AR's problem? Look, I love the kid. I've known the kid. And I've said since he became a Gator. What have I said, JC?
Yes, he's challenged throwing the football.
Yes. I didn't have an argument, but I had a discussion with 3 people yesterday. They're like, man, did you see him dunk the basketball? Did you see? Look, that is all wonderful. That is all wonderful. Yeah. But I ain't seen anybody dunk a basketball in the swamp. His issue, and yes, he's a great runner and this, that, but I asked him, I said, okay, let me ask you this question. Can you name a throw that stands out in your mind that he's made since he's been playing as a Gator?
The only play I can name that has stood out was a 2-point conversion against Utah, and it was
that had nothing to do with the throw, though.
Well, I mean, okay, sure, okay, but
the throw, the guy was wide open, he just lobbed it in there.
Yeah,
that's my point right there.
Yeah,
people remember him hurdling a guy at FAU last year. They remember a 75-yard touchdown at South Florida. They remember some other plays, and they remember his long run against Utah, and they remember the spin move, the play you're referring to. And like I said, none of that has to do with playing quarterback.
I know. Well, QB, it's amazing what a difference 2 weeks makes. I mean, we had scouts here, we had Heisman this and all that.
No, he's still going to be a first-round draft pick. He will still be a first-round draft pick. You can book that.
Well, not a quarterback, he won't.
Guarantee you he goes first round because the NFL has become the NBA. It's all on potential. They think they can teach them.
Okay. Well, maybe not. But the thing is QB, listen, what is Georgia right now? If Georgia was playing Florida, what would the line be?
Oh, it'd be in the 20s.
What would the line be? What do you think the Tennessee line's going to be?
Well, somebody just put on there, it started at 4, it's already up to 10.
Right. So that is because folks have kind of lost confidence in the Florida offense and the quarterback position.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and in 2 weeks, it's only taken 2 weeks. So, I mean, Tennessee is they got a guy who can throw it, and Florida has a guy who struggles throwing it, and you're not going to run up and down the field on Tennessee. I don't care what formation you use, you're just not. So,
all right. So JC, our Peachland Dental picks, I was terrible. You were 500. I went 4-10. You went 7-7. You're at 20-22. I'm 16-26. The NFL yesterday was the craziest I've ever seen it.
Insane. It was insane, dude. I've never seen games end the way they did, and that's just true. I've never seen somebody score 2 touchdowns with less than 2 minutes to go. After
I did it one time. Bears versus Saints.
Yeah, you threw. Oh, okay. Well, that's. I guess I missed that.
I did it twice. Now because we also did it against the Browns.
Yeah, you threw a Hail Mary against the Browns. I actually did see that on television. Love the way Jacksonville. Oh, let me get the Jacksonville going here. I love the way the Jags. Let me ask you something, QB. How hard do you think it is to shut out a team in any sport? But to do it in the NFL with the way the rules are was unbelievable. And this is the 8th straight time the Colts have lost in Jacksonville. 8 straight years. That's a house of horrors. And so I love the way Jacksonville plays physically on defense, and the running back Robinson really helping out Trevor Lawrence. It's good to see Jacksonville get excited and win a division game. The Tampa game was ugly as hell. It's not even worth commenting on. And then the Dolphins. They got weapons, bro. And,
they got plenty of weapons. What's crazy is that they scored the Ravens blew a 21-point fourth-quarter lead. But the Browns, just so people aren't if they're not familiar with it, the Browns, Nick Chubb scores with 1:55 left in the game to go up 30-17. The Jets had no timeouts.
Right. It's over.
I mean, and people were like, well, Chubb should have fallen down and the game is over. But he didn't. He scored to make it 30-17. Jets drive down with no timeouts, score, get an onside kick, and then go down and score and win the game.
They didn't even drive. They threw one pass, and the defense decided not to even engage the play. The guy was literally 30 yards past any defender. And Cleveland was, Stefanski's got his kids on the sideline in their Browns jerseys ready to run out and get selfies. And these guys thought the game was over. It is horrible. That's on Stefanski. He deserves all the credit.
Then the Raiders were up 20-7 or 20-0, I think.
Yeah.
And that game goes into overtime and a scoop and score. And the idiot who scooped and scored almost threw the ball.
Threw the ball away.
It was close. These people, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, and then we got 2 games tonight, JC. Let's pick these 2 games.
Let's go.
Do you have any idea why there's 2 games kind of going on the same time?
QB, they did that after in the past. They used to do it after the Labor Day on the Labor Day.
They used to do a 7 o'clock and a 10 o'clock.
Right.
This one's at 7:30 and at 8:30.
No, I know, but I don't know why they're on. Well, the same network has it. You got ESPN and ABC, so take your pick. But I don't understand that. I mean, the Buffalo game's on, I think, an hour before the other one. Tennessee is catching 10 points at Buffalo. I know who
they're up. They're up in Orchard Park.
They are.
Ooh.
I'm taking the 10. This is NFL. I'm taking the 10.
Yeah, because they could be up and the Bills do some crazy stuff. I'm just going to stay with my Super Bowl champs.
Yeah,
I'm going to take Buffalo.
All right, and then the Vikings are at Philly catching 3, and I'll tell you, I like the way this new coach at Minnesota looks. I think Cousins has a lot more confidence in what they're trying to do, and so I'm going to take the 3 points if you're going to give them to me and see if Jalen Hurts can beat me. I don't know.
All right, we're on the same side there. I like Minnesota as well.
So you don't like the Hurts, and I get it.
But Philly, people pick them to be a full playoff team this year.
Well, they better learn how to stop folks because defensively they look bad. And the Lions, DeAndre Swift, former Georgia running back, is taking over. Jared Goff had a great day yesterday for the Lions. I don't think they're going to be the patsy everybody else thinks they are this year in that division. And look at the AFC North. The Steelers can't score. The Browns choked. The Bengals can't score. And the Ravens choked. All teams went 0-4 yesterday in the AFC, the dreaded AFC North. So that I found that to be somewhat interesting. Trey Lance, he's out for the season.
That's the best thing. I hate seeing somebody get hurt. But look out for the 49ers now, man.
Well, defensively, and I don't know what Shanahan and John Lynch are doing with the Trey Lance kid. I knew they were trying to develop him, but if this, let me ask you something. So Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson. All right. So they draft Trey Lance. Clearly, he can't play. The Bears want Justin Fields. Clearly, he can't play. You really think they're going to waste a first-round pick on Anthony Richardson? Okay.
Yes.
I don't.
Joseph asked on Facebook Live, we got to have Pearsall and Whittemore on the field at the same time. Don't care if they play the same positions, move something around and make it happen. That's on coaching. The only question, and I'm not a one to question coaching because I know how hard it is and I know how much time they put into it. The only thing that bothers me that we do is we run 12 personnel way too much. I know Billy loves it, but we got 2 tight ends on the field.
2 tight ends.
Neither one of them are very good. I'm a huge – my favorite formation is 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 3 wides.
3 wides.
I would love to see us do that more, but there's a reason why they're doing it. It's either to help in the run game or help in pass protection. So, anyway, that would be my only gripe.
I mean, what did Florida rush for against South Florida? And I mean –
lot.
But did it really seem to matter? The game, it didn't come down to that.
Because we couldn't stop them, JC.
Yeah.
They ran for like 270-something yards, I think.
That's the problem.
I'll pull up the stats since I have a phone.
I mean, I don't. I mean, Florida ran for, I mean, you said it's a lot. It was about almost 200 yards.
And it should have been more than 200, I thought.
It was 159.37, so it's just around 200 on the game. And South Florida ran for almost 300. So that's the problem, dude. You can't let someone run 300.
They ran for 286. We ran for 217. But I do know they had like 35 more plays than us during the game.
Okay. Well,
we couldn't get them off the field.
So why are we going to get Tennessee off the field?
Well, it's a different game. I mean, everything is different. Like I told you, if Tennessee goes in there, and you never know, the left tackle may. I watched a game last night. I think it was I was watching Cincinnati. The right tackle is blocking the rookie defensive player of the year, Micah Parsons, on this pass play.
Mm-hmm.
He makes a mental error. Nobody even blocks him, and he goes there and clobbers Joe Burrow. So what I'm saying is that can happen. Maybe Tennessee has a mental error. We go in there, we clobber their quarterback, we scoop and score, and we win that way.
I think we – okay. Well, I think we said last year that Joe Burrow's lifespan in the NFL might be maybe 4 years because he gets hit 7 times a game, maybe 10, every game. And Cincinnati still hasn't figured out how to protect the poor guy. Luckily, Anthony can run around, and he's not prone to all these hits. That will help. But I don't know. Tennessee – I mean, get me more excited or more optimistic about it. I was after the Utah game, QB, but these last 2 games really hurt my feelings.
All right, so here I got a text from Jimmy on the Titanmar text line. He says, why is AR not running like he did against Utah? Is he hurt? Okay, I get this question like every 10 minutes, it seems like, via text or somebody calls me now. Okay. People should talk about him getting rolled up on against Kentucky. Look, if you play football, if you've ever played football, people, everybody gets dinged up during the game. Anytime a receiver dives and catches a ball, he's going to get up, his damn shoulders hurting. Yeah. Tailback runs up in it's a physical game. Okay. What I like to tell people, okay, we have called runs, but the reads are making him give the ball to the tailback. Teams are going to do two things. They're going to make on the zone reads, make him give the football, and then they're going to slow rush and make him throw the football to beat us.
Yeah.
But also a buddy brought up a good point. His foot must not be hurting that bad because he's running down these damn guys picking the ball off and making a tackle.
No, he runs what he has to, QB. But I think you're right. I think a lot of times defenses will adjust and they will make the right adjustments and stop Florida from doing
and their adjustment. And it's the right adjustment because then people say, well, why don't we adjust? We have adjusted. We call pass plays. We're not completing them. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, QB
right here. So right here, Greg says, is the ankle injury keeping AR from running? Absolutely not. I just stated he ran a 4.4 or 4.3, whatever he runs, to run those dudes down to make game-saving touchdown tackles.
Yeah. Well, being one-dimensional is the problem. And right now, Florida can't throw the football. So that's a problem. And you can't state it any simpler than that. It doesn't have to go into, all kinds of analytics to me, QB. It's pretty simple.
Tony asked, Shane, 3 games in, are you hurt? I was hurt every game. But, Dan, I tell people this all the time. In Spurrier's 12 years, his quarterbacks, if we probably got a lot of young people that watch this that probably didn't watch in the 9, we took a beating every game.
You did. Yes, you
did. A beating. Okay. Yeah. But not one of his quarterbacks ever missed a game. I remember, I've told the story. I've had knee surgery after the Florida State game the very next day because I got hurt on the 3rd play of the game. Played the entire game. You just play through it. I remember Danny playing with one of those harnesses on his left shoulder where he couldn't. That's just part of the game. I'm so sick and tired of people talking about injury. If you're injured, that means you don't even suit up. You're on the sideline in sweatsuit. Everybody's hurt playing.
QB, and also you guys, were behind center. You took 3, 5, 7-step drops and all this kind of stuff. Everybody's in shotgun today. So you're going to get hit more anyway, I think, the way I look at it. Don't you think? Werfel I don't know how Werfel walked off the field that one time against Florida State, and that convinced Coach to go to shotgun. So, you remember this, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember. I didn't play out of the shotgun. I used to beg for the shotgun.
Right. So you were begging for it, and you were getting hit all the time in the pocket, whatnot. It was just a different time and different offense he ran. So I think shotgun will protect you somewhat, but good Lord.
All right, JC, let's get to, before we let you go, let's get to this day in sports. Greg asks, is AR this bad in practice also? They script practice to make it look good. But he completes balls in practice. Look, the practicing game is totally different. This day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business peace of mind, is our promise. Beat the summer heat. Schedule your air conditioners tune up to date, keeping you chill in the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call us today, 352-376-2366. This day in sports, JC, in 2004, the Ryder Cup at Oakland Hills, the Europeans whipped the Americans' butts 18.5 to 9.5. It's the largest margin of victory ever. Speaking of pro golf, before we let you go, I totally forgot the PGA Tour kicked off this weekend. I don't even know the name of that tournament out in California. Did you see how it ended?
I did not.
Oh, you got to Google it. So Danny Willett knocks it in on 18 he's got about 6 feet for birdie. All he has to do is 2-putt to win the tournament.
Yeah.
Max Homa chips in.
Oh.
Willett 3 putts from 6 feet. and Max Homa wins.
Oh, poor Danny. Well, good for Max. I like Max, but QB, to me, the golf season starts in Hawaii in January.
Yeah, I don't know why this is the first. That's what I thought. I usually starts in like December, right?
No, it starts on after New Year's Day in Kapalua. It used to be called Mercedes, and then they would go to the big the Oahu and play at the Sony Open. I'm not into golf right now. Baseball, we got 19 games. I think you're going to see Aaron Judge obviously eclipse Roger Maris. I might be controversial in saying this, but I don't really think I am. I don't see Maris as a Hall of Famer, but I do think that his record was his, not Barry Bonds or Mark McGuire's or Sammy Sosa's. It was Maris's. Those other guys juiced it up. But
so, how many home runs does Judge have right now?
Judge, I think, has 59, and they've got 16 or 15 games left. I think he'll go past 61, and that would be so. To me, Maris has the record, not Sosa, Bonds, McGuire, no, but Maris. I got into an argument with a guy on the golf course. He says Maris is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I said, dude, he hasn't been on. He's been voted down. It's not even close every time he's come up. And there are a lot of reasons for that. And I won't go into it. I love the Maris family. I love Richard and Roger and all those guys. I love them. But I don't think their dad is a Hall of Fame guy. And I hate saying it, but his batting average, he's injured a lot. And he had 2 MVPs, though. I won't give him that. But, he was a 260 hitter. So, anyway, I think
Mike says here on Facebook Live, his question is, he says, tell the truth, Shane. Who would you start at quarterback? Well, Jack Miller ain't healthy, so you're going to start Anthony.
He's assuming if Jack was healthy.
That's a good question. Because Jack would have played, in my opinion, he would have played the last 2 weeks with Anthony struggling. Yeah. And then you make a decision.
Decision. Yeah.
But we have got to start completing passes.
It's the only way. Otherwise, they're going to get run out of town in Knoxville. They have to be more than one-dimensional. They have no chance just running football, in my mind. Because they're going to fall behind.
This is Alan on the Titan MR text line. He lives in Atlanta. He says, Mullen looks smarter every day regarding AR. I'm still all in with Billy, but makes no sense why we are not prioritizing the run game more. Well, we did. So again,
Mullen didn't.
As a play caller, you know what you do well, but you continually call and run plays, and you see what they're doing on the back end, and you call a pass play that you know is going to be big chunk yardage or touchdown, and it just doesn't. It's not executed, and so the fan base, of course, says, "Why don't you quit running the ball?"
Well,
that's. You got to trust that your players will make those plays at some point.
Well, Emory Jones is 1-2 now at Arizona State, lost his head coach Sunday. So, I mean, Mullen may have been smart or may not have been, but they didn't have anybody. And Emory, God bless him, he's 1-2. They lost to Eastern Michigan. And, they lost their coach. I mean, Herm Edwards is gone. And Emory Jones didn't transfer to Arizona State thinking that Herm would be gone in 3 games. So it's a bad situation. And really, Florida hasn't recruited a quarterback in a throwing quarterback. I mean, you said this. We've said this.
So Frazier says, and I assume Scott's on. I don't know if he is or not. We need a passing QB that can run, not a running QB that can pass. That's what wins championships. I can't agree more with you. Like I told you, I've asked my friends who argue about stuff. I was like, okay, what do you remember most? This run, that run. Okay, well, let's put number 33 on him then.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Okay. All right, JC, we got to get to Scott Carter. I think he's on. I don't know. Let me check with the producers. Well, I'm sure he's on. Anyway, all right, we'll talk to you on Wednesday. Enjoy the games tonight. That's JC. Join us on the Titan tomorrow hotline. We're going to take our first time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. With premium brands like Escape Apology, F45 Training, Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Prime and Pearl, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now selling Head Beer Coach American Lager in 16-ounce cans at Spurrier's, Visors Rooftop, and Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. And ahead of the Titan Tomorrow hotline now, we're joined by the one and the only senior writer for the FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. Good morning, Scott. How are you, my man?
Morning, Shane. Ready to get up to Rocky Top like you, man. See what shakes out up in Knoxville this weekend.
You know, I have not been to Knoxville and Neyland Stadium since 1992.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, there's really no. I mean, yeah, because I played a long time, and then I'm not one who used to load up and go watch the Gators play when I can watch it on TV. So I'm anxious. One of my favorite venues in all the sports. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful, and they're going to have the checkerboard. So us in the press box will get a good view of it. You know, each section is going to be checkerboard. And, I know, speaking of that, let me ask you this before we jump into the Gators. Why in the world, I think it has something to do with horse racing, but why does Kentucky have the checkerboard stuff on their uniforms?
That's you got me on that one. That may be like the finish line flag or something, but I really don't know. Makes sense it'd be with horse racing.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of weird that we got two teams that are very close to one another that use the same type of logo, whatever you want to call it.
Pretty sure Tennessee was first on that one.
Yeah, I do like the checkerboard end zones. Yeah. So Scott, give me your thoughts on Saturday night in the Swamp. Gators sneak out of there with another win.
Yeah, a lot of people left the stadium without any fingernails, man. That was one of those that, you know, it wasn't pretty, you know, as Billy Napier said after, they made it hard, you know. The Gators continued making some mistakes, mostly on, you know, Anthony Richardson in the passing game. I mean, those two key interceptions, the one in, you know, at the goal line or at the 5-yard line in the end zone, that's the one that stands out. And defensively, I mean, you gave up 286 yards to a USF team that, you know, came in there really not looking very impressive in their loss to BYU and then win over Howard. So it's a mixed bag, Shane. I mean, they got the win. That's the most important thing. You know, ugly wins are better than pretty losses, as they say. But, you know, I think this is a team that it's still evolving, but they're certainly kind of trying to rediscover some of that magic they had against Utah these last couple of games. They just haven't played as crisply as they did in that game in some areas.
Andy's got a question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mountain Law. I'm going to address it, then I'm going to let you talk about what Billy said in his presser. Scott, how does Billy – gosh, dog, it went away. Hang on. How does Billy even give AR an option on throwing at the 5-yard line on that pick he threw in the end zone? I've had a ton of people ask me that, Andy. So, and I'll let you – I have not heard what – I think Billy commented on it, but what it was it was an RPO, meaning we have a run called – but if they look for the pass, which is either going to be like a slant, a quick fade, something quick because you have linemen downfield blocking, you can go with it. It was one-on-one, and I believe I had no problem with it. He just made a bad throw. Mm-hmm. So I guess, do you think, and I don't know if Billy or anybody asked him about this, do you think in the future on some of these RPO plays, he's going to take off the option of Anthony making that decision to throw the ball?
That's a good question, Shane. I think the easy answer is yeah, maybe he'll won't give him that option as much. But Billy after the game, he said, "Look, I didn't have a problem with him going to the pass. I had a problem with his execution." That's kind of what Anthony said too. Obviously, that's a play that the matchup itself, Justin Shorter, 6'4", big receiver. It's a kind of a smart play to try to take advantage of, but not when you throw to the back shoulder like that. It's just a bad throw. The USF guy made the play. I think it made sense to still just run the ball there with the way they were moving the ball on the ground. So that's going to be something that we'll see evolves. If you do see Anthony start running more on those RPOs, that probably means that he's got less options. Billy with Billy. So just a bad play. It was kind of a head scratcher at the time, and then afterward, you heard okay, it was his decision, Richardson, and the coach was like, "Hey, I didn't have a problem with the decision, but it was just a terrible throw." So that's just where it was.
Yeah, and Joseph is totally wrong here. He says, "Y'all kill me the way y'all sugarcoat things, call it like it is. Bad play called by the coach, point blank, period." That's not true. If he hands the ball off on the run, he walks into the end zone. It was wide open, but his read told him that if it's one-on-one, I'm throwing the fade. So everybody wants him to do all these RPOs and stuff. So you're going to live and die with it. So it was a great call by the coach, Joseph. Bad execution by your quarterback is what it was.
Yeah, like I said, you get Justin Shorter one-on-one out there. I mean, that's a great guy to target that throw to, but you got to throw it well.
Yes, no question about that. Defensively, Scott, you see me in the press box. We're on the show. We talk off air. I have serious concerns all year long about the front seven. I was extremely impressed with South Florida's offensive line. I thought it was way better than Kentucky's. People talk about our defense played pretty good against Kentucky. I thought they had a horrible offensive line. I thought South Florida's offensive line was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought they were definitely better than Kentucky. South Florida, they're a team that's going to run the ball a lot this year. They've got an experienced backfield as well. But I think the big thing, without Ventrell Miller, it was highlighted how important he is as a communicator back there. Just being disciplined, in the run game. I mean, coaches say it all the time. Got to stay in your gaps, right? Because when you get out of those gaps, once the defensive or the running back gets past that first level, there's not anything to slow him down until he gets into the secondary. So when you're out of position, that gives an extra 4 or 5 yards right there immediately before there's a defensive back to cause any kind of problem for the running back. So you saw that consistently. I think it's going to be an issue as long as Ventrell Miller's not in there. But also the defensive front, again, I thought Brenton Cox was great late in the game. But I'd like to hear, Jervon Dexter's name called some more during the game. And, a lot of times he's getting double teamed. I know that. So maybe he's engaged and allowing other guys to make a play. But I just think that he's a guy that's got to start showing up on the stat sheet more. And then those young guys, Scooby Williams and Shamar James, I mean, they're going to have rough nights like that, Shane. They're young guys. So I think if they can get Ventrell Miller back, that's a huge plus for them against Tennessee.
Do you think he plays this week?
It seems like it's 50-50 right now. I don't know. It's not guaranteed, but he's not been ruled out. I think they're hopeful that he'll play. So it's something that we'll have to keep an eye on all week.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Okay. I got to address this again because I just want people to understand. Whether or not Anthony Richardson has a hurt ankle has zero bearing on him completing passes, people. Okay. Scott, I just try to tell you, and I love Anthony, but he doesn't look hurt when he chases guys down to make tackles on those interceptions. People, defenses know what kind of runner he is.
Yep.
They are not going to allow him to run the ball if they can help it. So in our run game, in the zone reads, I'm going to say it one more time, teams are going to force him to give the ball to our tailbacks. Okay? We called 2 quarterback powers the other night. They didn't go for hardly anything because they played them well.
Yeah.
That's just, look, I want him to get outside running you too, but it's making my point that nobody can remember anything that he's done throwing the football in his career. All they remember are runs. We need to complete passes to be a decent offense. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, we're not this ain't Tommy Frazier and the Cornhuskers running the option. And if y'all want to do that, we'll get Billy Napier to put in the wishbone.
No, it's not. That's not going to happen. And the minute that Anthony starts completing those passes and teams have to respect that part of his game, then automatically he becomes a better runner.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the way the game works. The ankle, he said the other night, sure, there's times, where he's been hit during games and it hurts and he's limping around a little bit, but he said there's not anything lingering there in terms of slowing him down. I just think he's not playing well, man, in the passing game. I mean, he is not playing well.
And Chris, I'm going to totally disagree with you. It's nothing against him. It could be any quarterback. He says he's hurt. He's not explosive in his runs, and that is affecting his throws. I just gave you an example. I played with a torn knee entire game against Florida State. It wasn't against South Florida. I've seen Danny Werfel play with where he couldn't his shoulder was strapped down with this device, and he won the Heisman Trophy doing it. So it is what it is. He's got to play better. And when they're easy throws, complete them.
Yeah.
And
if that becomes an issue where he can't play, you'll believe that Billy Napier will take him out of the game.
Correct. Yeah. If he is really where he can't run the offense, they will take him out of the game and they'll put Kitna in. We've had a ton of people ask about Jack Miller. He's probably a couple more weeks. He's still in the cast, right?
Yeah. The last time I saw him last week, he was. I know that it's probably at least a couple more weeks. I know at first Billy said maybe after the second game, but then he pushed that back a little bit last week, saying Drew Brees was maybe a little quicker healer. That's just an injury. You just don't know until the guy can throw the ball well again. But I think he's definitely on his way back. I mean, he's going to be available sooner than later, but I don't think he's going to be ready for Tennessee.
From an injury report, did anybody get banged up in this game against South Florida?
Nothing that came up after the game that was, I recall, nobody was really mentioned. And I don't recall during the game, seeing a guy. I know there was talk that Jaden Hill might get in, but I don't think he ever actually played. But he was dressed out and stuff. But maybe we'll get back out there this week. Otherwise, man, the big ones are, Tarquin, who's probably still out for Tennessee, and they're hoping to get Miller back. Ventrell.
Trey says, is there any chance Anthony plays out of his mind and wins the game for us? Good. I mean, he's athletic enough to do it. We'll see. We'll see what Tennessee has in their performance.
It reminds me a lot of that 2016 game. That's the last time the Gators lost to Tennessee, and game day was there. Tennessee was 3-0. Florida's got to go up there and try to play the spoiler because it's good. You're talking about you haven't been there since 1992, Shane. I can tell you I've been there every year since 10, and a lot of times it hasn't felt like the old Tennessee environment because they've been down. I do expect the full Tennessee environment on Saturday. That place is probably going to be as excited as it's been in a long time for Florida to come up because they think that, this is their year. They're finally back or whatever. And there's no better way for Florida to kind of spoil their day than for Anthony to finally have the kind of game I think we all know he's capable of, but we just haven't seen it. And that's the biggest question going into the game. I think it's going to be the biggest question about every week, Shane. How's Anthony going to play?
Well, look, I say this. It happens with about every football team. If your quarterback doesn't play well, you ain't going to win. I mean, at any level.
And this team is just built so much around him in terms of potential. I mean, they are what they are. When he's struggling and throwing 2 interceptions, they're going to struggle to beat USF. if he's having a great game and doing everything right, then they can beat a number 7 team in the country like you saw against Utah if the defense makes some plays. So it's just I think it's going to be a roller coaster kind of season. That's just my vibe after 3 games. I kind of wrote that the other night after the game. They're 2-1. That's where they are. We'll see how if they can make it 3-1.
This is a text from an anonymous texter. It says the honeymoon is over for Napier and AR. No, it's not. I mean, we're going into our 4th. If anybody listens to my program, I told you that we'd be lucky to win 7 games.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't know what made people change their minds on that.
Well, it gets emotional during the season, and people kind of back and forth each week. But this is no surprise by any stretch of the imagination if you really know the team. I mean, Anthony Richardson's a great talent, but he's a young talent, and he's not a Heisman Trophy contender. Let's go ahead and just
I didn't understand why people thought that after game 1 because his numbers. It's a numbers game. The Heisman Trophy is about numbers.
Yeah.
We got a text here. I don't know who it's from. It says, QB, do y'all have any idea how long before Jack Miller's healthy? AR is horrible. It's half past Miller time. Jack Miller. We're not going to go there because he's not healthy, so it doesn't matter. But we've had a bunch of people talk about, him not being able to run the football. What are teams doing? Here's what teams are doing. Football is like chess. You try to figure out what they're going to do, and you do something to counteract that and take advantage of it, okay? It's simple. Anthony Richardson is a tremendous athletic runner of the football, okay? So if I'm an opposing coach, you've seen on tape, he's erratic throwing the football. We're going to do everything we can to not allow him to do what he does best, which is run. We're going to take that away, okay? We're not going to rush him real hard. We're going to slow rush him. Clog up the lanes, clog up his vision, make reads. That's what they're doing. It's not like they're solving cancer here. That's what they're doing. They're saying you are going to have to drop back in the pocket and beat us. Yeah. And if they do, then everybody's going to say he's a great thrower, great game plan by Billy Napier.
Yeah. There was a great play early in that game the other night. I turned to Chris Harry up in the press box when it happened. It was probably first quarter. Anthony faked the handoff and then spun out. And what they were hoping, he was going to be on the run with that option.
They played it perfectly.
They spied him with number 16, and then that guy slowed him down, and then the guy came back and rushed him, and he had to throw the ball away. And that was the play that Anthony's great at if they're not spying him, because he can either run for 10 yards or he can find somebody on the run in the game. But, it's you got to give credit for these defensive coordinators. They know the situation. They know that if you don't let Anthony Richardson beat you, guess what? You might have a really good chance to win the game.
Exactly. And you can call run plays all you want. That's fine. But he is going to have to be able to complete balls within the tackle box in the pocket. Because you brought up a great example, and I pointed it out. We ran one of our naked bootlegs.
Yep.
And that guy was staying home for the naked bootleg and made him force to throw it away.
Yep.
Until we complete the balls out of the pocket, that's how it's going to be. So, Tennessee, Scott, I did some homework for you. You put this in one of your stories.
All right.
This stat here, I read it a few minutes ago with JC. Well, first of all, can you believe? Listen to these records in college football. I'm going to do it real quick. Okay. Kansas, Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, Syracuse, UCLA, and Indiana. That'd be a hell of an Elite Eight right there, right? Or how many is that? 7 teams. They're all undefeated right now. All those basketball schools. But here's the stat I read, and it's staggering. Ever since Hendon Hooker took over at quarterback for the Vols, he's thrown 42 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
That's what you call it, playing at a high level. And, I remember Gators beat them last year here at the Swamp, and you felt, boy, they got Tennessee at the perfect time because Hooker was just starting to find his rhythm a little bit. And he was so much better after that Florida game last year. And now he's going to be the quarterback. I mean, they're going to talk about both quarterbacks in this matchup a lot on game day, I'm sure. But I think Hendon Hooker is going to be the headliner in this one because of that, what you just mentioned, and where Tennessee is trying to climb up the ladder with him. And he's a guy that is, he can do both. He can beat you in the passing game. He can beat you as a runner. You kind of got to defend him in some ways, like teams try to defend Anthony Richardson. But the difference with Hooker right now, he's really evolved as a passer, and that's going to be trouble for Florida. They're going to have to watch him in the passing game and kind of try to limit that as much as you can.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Game day will be there. Rocky Top will be rolling and rocking. Should be a great atmosphere. 3:30 kick. We appreciate your time, Scott.
All right, Shane. Have a good one, man. I'll see you up there.
All right, that's Scott Carter. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. You can follow Scott on Gators Scott on Twitter, and also check all his good work out on FloridaGators.com. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit OgreInsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Before we get out of here, I just want people to understand Billy Napier and his staff are trying to win football games, folks. They're going to do everything they can to put the kids in a position to be successful. Whether you agree with it or not, you're not watching tape. You don't know the percentages, the tendencies. They are trying to get first downs. They're trying to score touchdowns. Defensively is the same way. We are very limited on defense and what we can do. But offensively, we have got – there's no other way to put it than we have got to throw completions. You can use all the excuses you want, but when guys are open, we have got to throw and catch. If we don't do that, it will be a long day. But Tennessee is going to dare us to throw the football. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tell all your friends and family to follow us and like us. And we will be here tomorrow with Buddy Martin and maybe another guest waiting to get a text back. But I hope you enjoyed today's program. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.